I've been testing bare cast iron and enameled cast iron to see if one is better than the other. I tested everything from cooking performance to maintenance to durability. And through my testing, I learned that many of the myths surrounding these two types of cookware are completely false. In this video, I show you the results of my tests and explain to you the real differences between bare cast iron and enameled cast iron. Let's get straight to the point and talk about the most important difference, and that is cooking performance. Both types of cookware are made with a thick cast iron base, so they both retain heat incredibly well. And because they retain heat well, they're great for searing, browning, roasting, frying, and any other cooking technique that requires a steady temperature. If you want a good crust on steak, chicken, pork, or any other meat, cast iron and enameled cast iron cookware does the job really well. I've cooked dozens of meals in each type of pan, and there's virtually no difference in their ability. However, there are a few areas where bare cast iron and enameled cast iron are very different. Before I get into that, thank you to Caraway for sponsoring this video and supporting this channel. I've been testing Caraway products for several years, and their brand new enameled cast iron cookware line might be the best one I've tested. You'll see it throughout this video, and I've linked to it in the video description. So the first difference is that you can't use bare cast iron to boil water or cook liquid heavy meals like pasta or soup. Bare cast iron has oil baked into its surface, which is known as seasoning. When hot liquid sits in the pan for extended periods, the seasoning releases into the liquid. With enameled cast iron, this is not an issue. The enamel is a thin layer of hardened glass that is non-porous and won't leach into liquids like seasoning can. To prove this point, I poured this glass of perfectly clean water into a clean cast iron skillet. After boiling it for several minutes and letting it cool, I poured it back into the glass. I spilled a little bit, but as you can see, the water is cloudy and dirty from the seasoning that was released. I did the same thing with an enameled cast iron pan, and the water was clean before and after boiling it. Another difference is that you can cook highly acidic foods in enameled cast iron, but you need to be cautious if you plan to cook those foods in bare cast iron. Flavoring food with a small amount of acidic ingredients like a splash of wine, vinegar, or lemon juice won't cause any issues, but simmering tomato sauce or braising short ribs in red wine for extended periods will damage the seasoning and make your food taste like metal. To demonstrate this limitation, I took a pretty well-seasoned cast iron skillet and covered the cooking surface with crushed tomatoes. I did the same with an enameled cast iron pan. I let the tomatoes simmer in both pans for 30 minutes. As you can see, there was no damage to the enamel, but when you look closely at the bare cast iron, you can see that the seasoning is significantly lighter after cooking the tomatoes. Many people believe foods like eggs are more likely to stick to enameled cast iron than well-seasoned bare cast iron. So I tested it. I preheated a bare cast iron skillet and the Caraway enameled cast iron skillet for 2 minutes before adding 1 teaspoon of oil and 1/3 of a tablespoon of butter. The egg in the bare cast iron skillet didn't stick at all, and surprisingly, the egg didn't stick to the enameled cast iron skillet either. I tested it again, but this time I didn't use any butter. Instead, I rubbed a small amount of oil on the cooking surface with a paper towel. Unfortunately, the egg stuck to both pans. I tested it one more time, but with no oil and exactly 3 grams of butter in each pan. This time, the egg slid around effortlessly in the bare cast iron skillet, but with the enameled skillet, it needed some help. After I nudged it with the spatula, it released from the surface and moved around freely. So both pans can handle eggs with the right amount of fat, but bare cast iron might have a slight advantage in terms of food release, but it's not a huge difference. Another significant difference between bare and enameled cast iron is that bare cast iron needs to be seasoned and enameled cast iron doesn't. Seasoning is the process of coating the cookware in oil and heating it so that the fat bonds to the surface and creates a protective layer. Most cast iron is pre-seasoned in the factory, but you still need to re-season it occasionally, especially in the beginning. If you don't, moisture will cause the iron to rust. Even well-seasoned cast iron pans can rust if you don't dry them thoroughly. To demonstrate this, I poured water into 2 bare cast iron skillets and let it sit overnight. The next morning, rust started to form even though both pans were seasoned. When I wiped the pans, orange rust was all over the paper towel. With enameled cast iron, you don't have to worry about any of this. The hard and non-porous enameled coating prevents rust. It does the job of the seasoning, but it's permanent and doesn't wear down. At the same time that I poured water into the 2 bare cast iron pans, I also poured water into 2 enameled pans. The next day, there was no rust at all. A common misconception about cast iron is that you can't use soap to clean it. People think that since dish soap is formulated to break down and remove oil, and seasoning is created from oil, that the soap will ruin the seasoning. But the reality is that seasoning isn't just oil. It's polymerized oil that's been bonded to the cast iron. It's hard and tough, and if the dish soap doesn't contain lye or sodium hydroxide, a few drops won't hurt. I always recommend using a chainmail to clean cast iron, but if you cooked a messy meal and the chainmail is not doing the trick, mild dish soap is okay. Here's a well-seasoned cast iron pan before washing it with soap, and here it is after. As you can see, the seasoning is completely fine, the soap didn't damage it at all. So when it comes to maintenance, enameled cast iron is the winner. Although you can use soap to clean both, enameled cast iron doesn't need to be seasoned, and a little bit of moisture left on the surface won't cause rust. One of the main advantages of bare cast iron is its durability. Because there's no coating, you don't have to worry about chipping or scratching. If the seasoning wears out, you can always re-season it. With bare cast iron, you can use metal utensils, cook over a campfire, or even drop it on your driveway, and it won't break. Although it's not indestructible like many people think. If you drop it directly on a pointy rock, it can break. Enameled cast iron pans have the same durable base, but the enamel coating can scratch and chip. And one tiny chip typically leads to more chipping. Don't get me wrong, it's way more durable than a non-stick coating, and it can last for decades, but you need to be a bit more careful. Avoid slamming it into other hard surfaces, avoid sharp utensils, and direct flames from a campfire can damage the enamel. One of the most obvious differences is their appearance. Bare cast iron is a silvery gray that becomes darker and almost black as seasoning develops. Since most brands are sold pre-seasoned, they already have a dark gray or black appearance when you buy them. Enameled cast iron can be almost any color. For example, Caraway's new collection comes in cream, midnight blue, gray, light mist, rust, and charcoal. The interior is typically a white sandy color or black. Lighter interiors make it easier to monitor the progress of your food, but dark interiors do a better job hiding scratches and discoloration. So should you buy bare cast iron or enameled cast iron? The answer is actually quite simple, and it comes down to what you value the most. If you want the most durable option, go with bare cast iron. But if you want cookware that doesn't need to be seasoned and can be used to cook acidic ingredients and liquid-heavy meals, go with enameled. If you're thinking about buying enameled, check out this new collection from Caraway. I've been testing it for several weeks, and so far, the performance is excellent. You can buy each piece individually or save 20% when you buy the whole set. I've linked to this collection in the video description. Those are affiliate links, so I'll earn a commission if you click and buy, but at no extra cost to you. If this was helpful, check out this video where I break down the 9 essential pots and pans that every kitchen needs. And for more videos like this, click the logo to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.